Mr. Paresh, brother, it is
It's already on.
audible. Am
Hold
I?
on. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Okay.
The
Okay.
Farmers
Okay.
21, presented by Operant Pharmacy Federation, corporate platinum partner Integro Pharma Limited, Bangladesh, in association with IP Movement, GPAT Discussion Center, Pharma Tutor, placement partner Aatish Management and Consultant, academic partner Chitkara University, Dr. D.Y. Patil University, RK University, G.H. Raisoni University, Vishnu Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Parul University, KB Institute of Pharmaceutical Education and Research, Pramukh Swami Science and H.D. Patel Arts College, Sri Kokila Ben Karsan Bhai Patel Girls Science College, Sri Ramakrishna Institute of Applied Science, Eames College of Pharmacy, VV Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, University of Sciences and Technology, KGR Institute of Technology and Management, Sarukia College of Pharmacy, in alliance with PK Classes, Pharma Utility, NewsWave, KB Labs, Nanopua, Bold Hindustan, Voice of Vadodara.
Yes, shall I start, sir? Shall I start, sir? Paresh, sir?
Yes, yes, it's live. Go ahead.
Yes. Pleasant evening, everyone. I'm Sri Vallika, coordinator in the organizing committee of Pharmanist 21. Cordially invite you all to the today's webinar series of Pharmanist 21 on IPR for SMEs in Africa and Asia, session 2, and green sustainable materials for drug delivery applications. I'll be monitoring today's session. On the behalf of Open Pharmacy Federation, I am very much thankful to our speakers of today's occasion, Professor Elvis Tiburu, Mr. Nabendu Bhattacharjee, and Aatish sir for accepting our invitation to be as speakers for today's session. Thank you, sir, for your time. Yeah, prior to the start of session, I am glad to announce the Pharmanist 21. So, Pharmanist 2021 is an international virtual conference that welcomes personnel from the plethora of industries such as pharmaceutical, regulatory and academia, research, and many others focused on betterment of healthcare system. The conference focuses on innovations, current trends, discoveries that will ultimately help in the development of healthcare system. The aim of organizing an international conference is to provide a platform and accessibility to the emerging leaders, budding pharmacists, and the youth of current society. The theme of Pharmanist 21 is data science. Yes, the theme of Pharmanist is data science, computational tools, artificial intelligence, and more of technologies, evolution, and contribution in the pharmaceutical research. Pharmanist 21 comprises of various knowledge-worthy webinars by leading speakers globally and certain interesting competitions like e-quiz competition, e-poster competition, video making competition, extempore, and blog writing competition. Those who haven't registered for Pharmanist yet, kindly register soon. The registrations are still open. And also there is another interesting thing is in Pharmanist is there is an international exchange program which is supported by Operant Pharmacy Federation. So kindly have a look into it. There are exciting opportunities for the winners of Pharmanist 21, and also participants can stay connected with us by following us on various social media handles and also even on WhatsApp. So moving on to the sessions, I kindly request Dr. Paresh Dave sir to introduce our speakers of today's session.
Thank you, Valika, and a warm welcome to all of the viewers and all the speakers on the board. So today we are celebrating, a continuation of World IP Day, because World IP Day was celebrated annually on April 26th every year. So the theme of this year's celebration was intellectual property for small businesses and taking big ideas to the market. SMEs means small to medium enterprises are businesses ranging from small home offices to medium sized enterprises. SMEs are the backbone of any economy and are run by people we know and cross paths with every day. These are the companies that make up 90% of the companies in the world and employees of 75% of workers globally and make up half of the world economy. So, World Intellectual Property Organization WIPO has decided to celebrate this year's World IP Day for SMEs. So, under the Pharma Nest, we are also organizing webinars, and today I am glad to have all the esteemed speakers on the board because today we have combinations, three different combinations. We have researchers, Professor Elvis Tiburu, we have IP attorney Nabendu Bhattacharjee, and we have Aatish Arora, so who is helping and assisting all the youngsters to focus on their career path and to help them how to choose their career path. So we have three different flavors today. So first, let's begin with Professor Elvis Tiburu. So Professor Elvis Tiburu is known to me from last 22 years because he and I worked together at the Miami University, Ohio for around 3.5 years, where he was doing his PhD and I joined there as a postdoctoral fellow. So I am very glad and happy to introduce my friend Professor Elvis K. Tiburu. Professor Elvis Tiburu has obtained his Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry from Kwana Nkrumah University of Science and Technology from Ghana. Then he moved to the United States of America, and in USA he completed his MS from Indiana University, Pennsylvania. After completing MS, he joined in the Miami University for pursuing his PhD, and he completed his PhD in Miami University, Ohio, and then later on he joined as a postdoctoral fellow at Beth Israel Medical Center, Harvard Institute of Medicine. Later, he also worked as a research assistant at the Northeastern University in United States. After his stint at United States, he moved back to the Ghana, and he is working currently as an associate professor at the University of Ghana, so where he is working in the biotechnology department. So we have his experience in the research of more than 2 decades, 20 years research experience we have. So today we are going to have him and to heard him his expert talk on the green and sustainable technology on drug discovery. So I warm welcome to my friend Professor Elvis K. Tiburu, and he is going to speak about his topic. Professor Elvis Tiburu, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Parish Deve. Can I share my screen with you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's see. Can you see my screen now?
Just it will take time. Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, we can see.
Okay.
So you can focus on the PowerPoint presentation. You make it big.
Okay.
Presentation mode, you can go there. Yes, perfect.
Hold on, sorry. All right, so you can see everything now?
Yes, please.
All right. So let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers of Operant Pharmacy Federation for inviting me. And I'm really appreciative of Dr. Parish Dove, my junior brother, for allowing me this opportunity to come and share what I've been doing in Ghana. I hope the subsequent organization of this conference, we will have a lot of representation from Africa, especially West Africa. So before I get into my presentation, I would like to give you some genesis of my journey. I know Dr. Parish Dove has already highlighted a little bit on it. So if you look at the far left, this is my community in the Upper East region of Ghana. That is the far north and to the east. And this is the type of buildings that you find around that place. So this is my community. And then I moved from that community and went to school in Laura Secondary School, which is in the Upper West. So in the northern region, today, west of the northern region, that is where I went to school. This is the school building that I was accommodated in. And then from there, I moved to the university to do my BSc in chemistry. And that one is in the southern part of the country. And they call it Kumasi, Kwame Nkrumah Institute, University of Science and Technology. Then, of course, from there, I went to the US, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, USA, where I did my master's in biochemistry. And then, of course, I moved to Miami University. And this is where I met Dr. Parish Dove, and I did my PhD in biophysics. From there, I went to Harvard Institute of Medicine, where I did 3 years postdoc, and then I moved to Northeastern University, spent another 7 years before I finally moved to University of Ghana in 2013. And this is where I am now up to date. So, where is Ghana? Well, I just want to show you some glimpses. I can't show you everything. This is a modern 4-tier interchange, which is being built in the country. It is linking most of the communities within the capital to the centralized point. It is almost 80% complete. And I hope by the end of this year, we are going to have one of the biggest 4-tier interchanges in West Africa. If you visit Ghana, you get the opportunity to travel along this interchange. And then this is the eastern part of the capital. You take this windy road, it will take you to the mountains. Actually, that's where I live. And it's a very beautiful scenery there. This is one of the nice tourist areas that when you visit Ghana, you can probably visit and then enjoy yourself. And then, of course, this is University of Ghana, the BAM Library. So the building you are looking straight in front of you is the BAM Library. It is among the 100 top libraries in the world. And you can see the brown roofing, in fact, made of clay material, fired clay material. Okay, so this is just a little bit of University of Ghana, the BAM Library. It will take you almost a day to be able to go through the entire library. Right, then this is the School of Engineering. We have 5 departments. We have Agric Engineering, Biomedical Engineering, where I belong. We have Computer Engineering. We have Food Process Engineering. And then we have Material Science and Engineering. So we have 5 departments housing into this big building. So what is my talk on today? I'm going to talk about sustainable green materials for drug delivery purposes. As you are all aware, Africa, we are endowed with a lot of cheap materials. Most of it plant materials. We have clay materials. So I think it is about time now we start looking at how we can harness these materials for the benefit of health discoveries. So my talk, I'm going to start with a brief introduction, and then I'm going to tell you why green materials, and I'm going to tell you the strategies, approaches, and methodologies we are using, and I'll give you some preliminary results and applications in drug discovery, and then the future implications. Now, as I said, plant-derived bioactive compounds and clay minerals are sources of medication since ancient times. About 80% of the world population uses herbal medicine, according to WHO 2014 report. And in fact, there are approximately 200,000 to over 1 million plant metabolites synthesized from about 400 plant species. This is a report from 2003. These metabolites are exploited as we speak today for computer-aided drug design, which is a primary stage in modern drug discovery. However, we have a challenge with bioactivity, especially bioavailability of the drugs to disease cells. Hence, the need to enhance the efficacy and, in fact, modernize these strategies to meet pharmaceutical industries. We also have another important material that oftentimes we ignore, and that is clay minerals, a very important material in medicine. In fact, during Mesopotamia times, clay tablets were sold in the pharmaceutical offices for treatment of diarrhea and other medications. In the pharmaceutical industries, clays are also widely used as active ingredients in drug formulations. In fact, we have clay minerals like kaolinite, talc, montmorillonite, saponite, which are used for drug formulations in modern day medicine. Clay mineral nanoparticles are also used to enhance cellular adhesion, proliferation, and differentiation. So based on these inherent properties, clay minerals are also ideal candidates for the development of intelligent drug delivery systems, which I will be referring to IDDS in my subsequent talks. So what makes clay minerals such an important material for drug discovery? Well, if you look at the atomic structure of clay, you have silicon, oxygen, which form this tetrahedral arrangement of atoms. And then you have aluminum with oxygen also form this octahedral sheet of atoms. When these two sheets come together, you have the tetrahedral sheet alternating with the octahedral sheet, and there is a space in between these layers, and then the layers continue tetrahedral sheet, octahedral sheet. This is how clay materials are organized. Their names are derived based on these alternating sheets of chemistry and the spacing between them. For instance, if you look at elite, there is a ratio of 2:1 tetrahedral sheets to octahedral sheets. And then there is a space where you can trap small molecules, and then a repeat of the 2:1 tetrahedral sheets, octahedral sheets. You come to vermiculites, again, you see this kind of arrangement, but then the interspacing between these sheets has now become bigger. So you can now entrap water molecules and cations within these sheets. And when you go to the smectites, with the same ratio, the water molecules and cations, in fact, the space is bigger. So you can even now entrap much bigger molecules like biopolymers or very complex organic structures. So these type of materials have been used extensively for drug delivery system, as drug delivery systems. In fact, in Ghana here, we were able to identify, in this report here, Applied Clay Science, we're able to identify some of these clays which are scattered around the country. And we think that they are important source of material for developing drug delivery systems. And I'm going to show you in a minute how we've been able to do that. And before I get into that, I want to show you a typical clay material that has been actually characterized, well characterized, very cheap, and has been used intensively in drug research, in drug delivery purposes. And one of such materials is called the tubular nanotube for drug delivery. Now, if you look at the structure, it contains these extended sheets of silicon, aluminum, silicon layers, which is, so that is the outer layer. And then the inner layer is made up of aluminum, oxygen aluminum sheets. So it is rolled very nicely into this tubular form. And people have capitalized on this material to deliver drugs, something like sodium salicylate, dexamethasone, and a lot of drugs have been capitalized, have been entrapped in this lumen and are delivered into disease cells or tissues for biomedical application. Okay, so my group is focusing on developing intelligent drug delivery systems from local source materials, including biopolymers and clay minerals. Now, as I said, clay minerals are very excellent materials, but there is an issue. They are not biocompatible with the human body. So we need to find a way to make them biocompatible using biopolymers. I'm going to be talking about that on my first focus. And then the second focus now is how do we now describe these entrapped or loaded materials as IDDS, intelligent drug delivery systems. What are the criteria that govern them being intelligent? And then, of course, I'm going to show you a little bit of work where we've been able to improve drug resistance in tuberculosis using clay minerals. And then my concluding remarks in future directions will be highlighted what we can capitalize on for the future. So, How do we develop intelligent drug delivery systems? So if you take the tubular clay mineral that I just showed you, we can entrap a plant-derived bioactive compound called curcumin. This is a polyphenol produced by Curcuma longa plant. And once we entrap this drug into the lumen of the tubular clay mineral, through this process, vacuum, removing the air from the lumen. When vacuum is broken, solution enters, and then the solution carry with it the drug into the lumen. Then we can wash the surface off and then drying the loaded tubes, and then you get the drug entrapped within the lumen of the HNT, which is the tubular nanotube. In fact, this work was done very beautifully by one of the students who just got his master's. Now, once you finish that, as I said, these materials are not biocompatible. We need to find a way to make them biocompatible. And one of the things that we use, or one of the biomolecules that we use, are chitosan, which is a polycation. We have gelatin, polyanion, folic acid. So we use that to modify the mineral so that it will become biocompatible. So if you look at the entire aggregate structure, you see the HNT, which is in blue, and then you see the drug, which is trapped in the HNT, and then the green, you can now modify the HNT with gelatin, and then, in fact, you can also modify the tubular nanotube with chitosan, and in fact, you can also modify with folic acid depending on the application that you want to carry out with this particular nanocomposite. And once you are able to functionalize your clay mineral in this way, you now have a biocompatible material that is accepted in the body. So how do we know that we've been able to do this? Well, there are a lot of techniques that will allow you to be able to probe layer by layer to be able to know that you've been able to do this functionalization. So the first thing is to do porosity measurement. And as you can see, the surface area of the clay mineral before the drug is loaded is about 38.9 square meters per gram. And then when you load, the volume shrinks or the area shrinks. The same thing with the pore volume. It shrinks from 0.1 centimeters cube per gram to 0.03. So this clearly indicates that we've been able to entrap the bioactive compound, which is curcumin, into the lumen of this clay mineral. How do we know we've been able to functionalize the surface of the clay mineral to make it biocompatible? We use what we call zeta potential. Now, if you look at the tubular nanotube, this is the zeta potential of the empty nanotube. Once you functionalize it with the polycation, which is the chitosan, you move the polarity from more negative to more positive, because you are dealing with a positive cation. Now, when you functionalize it with the more negative polyanion, you move it back into the negative side. And you can do that alternatively to tell you that indeed you functionalize your clay mineral with your biopolymer. Okay, so now we've loaded the drug, we functionalized the material. The next thing is, how is the behavior of the release look like? So I'm going to show you the kinetic models that we use to study the release profile. We probe the release profile using the zero-order kinetics, first-order kinetics, Higuchi, and then we use about 5 models to see how the behavior of the release profile look like, because we want to make sure that it is steady and it follow this steady curve where the release is systematic. It is not like the best release. We want it to be systematic. So when we did that, comparing all the kinetic models, we were able to identify that one of the models really worked very nicely in terms of the drug release, and we were able to conclude that because of the R squared being 0.99, the Kosmaya-Pepes model was the best to describe the release nature of the drug. And in fact, this work, if you look at the summary, the Kosmaya-Pepes model, if you look at the drug-loaded holicide, you have a 0.8. If you look at the first bilayer, which is coating the drug-loaded tubular nanotube with the polycation, the R-square value was around 0.86. When we did the second layer, you can see that we're moving the steady release kinetics to R-square 0 of 0.99. And in fact, the third layer gave the best record. In fact, the second and third layer indeed tells us that we've been able to functionalize the material. We've been able to study the kinetics of the drug's release. And we think that this particular nanocomposite is now ready for us to use to see how it can release drugs into disease cells, sustain release into disease cells. In fact, this work was submitted for publication, and we are happy to tell that it has just been accepted in materials and is in press for publication. So in summary, out of the 5 models that we use, the drug-loaded HNT gave the best, the drug-loaded HNT, the Kosmaya-Pepes model gave the best sustained release of the drug. Now, what is the application of this nanocomposite loaded drug? I think that's the question. So we are working on trying to now apply this to the study of cancer cells. And as you can see, cancer is the second leading cause of death in the world, with about 85 million deaths, according to WHO. In Ghana, about 16,000 cancer cases are recorded annually, according to the Ministry of Health. So we are trying to use our IDDS to target voltage-gated ion channels, which are known to be present in most cancer cells. So we believe that inhibiting the voltage-gated ion channels, like the sodium ion channels or the potassium ion channels, should be able to reduce cancer cell proliferation. Why do we target the voltage channels? Well, if you look at the way cancer or any cell grows, you start from the G phase, okay, and moving to the right, there are 2 important ionic channels that are open. You have the sodium channels, and then you have the calcium channels. The potassium channel is blocked, okay? So Going from the G0 phase to the G1 phase, two channels are open, so you can now find extracellular sodium and calcium moving into the cell, whereas the potassium channel is blocked. Once you get beyond the G1 phase, getting to the synthetic phase, the calcium channel and sodium channels are blocked, and potassium channels are open, allowing potassium to go out of the cell. So you can see that depending on the cell cycle point, there are certain channels that are opening and there are some that are closing. Now, there is a lot of work being done. A lot of researchers are now capitalizing on, can they block any of these channels? For instance, if you can block the sodium and calcium channels, then you are going to block cyclin D or CDK4 and 6 from progressing from the G1, G0, G1 phase into the synthetic phase. In the same way, if you block the potassium channel, then you are preventing the cells from growing. So we are using this technology to see how we can also identify some of these channels and be able to block them to prevent them from, prevent cancer cells from proliferation. So, as I said, there is a lot of work that has been done on these voltage-gated ion channels. So if you take the potassium channels, for instance, Kv 10.1, Kv 11.1, they are expressed highly in cervical cancer, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, osteosarcoma, glioma, melanoma cancer. Now, there are a lot of works that have been done using therapeutic approaches. For instance, if you use small molecules, you can inhibit some of these channels. For instance, Kv 10.1, astaminazole, imprimerin, and if you use warfarin 12, 3398, and other small molecules, you can actually either activate or inhibit some of these channels, and that can have effect on cell proliferation. And let me quickly go back and show you, if you, for instance, from the G0 and G1 phase, if you are able to open the potassium channels, then it means you are going to activate this channel, which will not allow the cells to go from the rest stage into the synthetic phase. So depending on what kind of inhibitors you are looking for, you can always target one of these channels. So we now look at the environment, whether we can find something that will be able to either activate one of these channels or inhibit. And the best that we came across is dicular reflexer. This is a leguminous plant found mainly in tropical Africa and South America. And it has been used extensively for treating various diseases, including cancer. And studies have actually shown that it has nutritional values as well, because the seed oil is also good for a lot of nutritional values. But we are very interested in its cancer application. So what is the strategy here? We want to extract the dicular reflexer extract, and then our strategy is to try to target any of these pores, either potassium or sodium pores. And then we should be able to detect using electrochemical detection method to see how the behavior of the membrane in terms of polarization and depolarization looks like. And then, based on the polarization and depolarization, we should be able to now quantify how many of these cells are dying. Using a simple ceilometer, we should be able to estimate this. And this design is actually done by Mr. Richard Siema and other lab colleagues. So when we did this, we found out that just taking the extracts and entrapping them into the tubular nanotube that I showed you earlier on, and then eluting them and applying them on cancer cells. We use MCF7 breast cancer cells. We found out that there was no much antiproliferative effects. In fact, the antiproliferative effects was around 35%. Okay, so we decided that can we then use pH-dependent elution to be able to elute the bioactive compound out of the lumen, and then try to now investigate the eluted extract from each of these pH and see how they affect cell proliferation. And as you can see, we did that, and the cell antiproliferative effect increased from 35 to almost about 70%, especially with the pH 5.2 extract, which means pH-dependent elution was able to give us certain bioactive compounds that has profound effect on the cancer cell proliferation. So we decided, what is the IC50, the inhibitory concentration of these bioactive compounds? And as you can see, when we did the water elution, the IC50 is about 33, which is not very good. But if you look at the pH eluted samples, you can see the pH 5.2 has an IC50 of 0.9. And in fact, the R-squared value actually told us indeed it was a very good IC50. And that actually corresponds to what we see with the cell viability studies. So the next thing is to look at the electrochemical behavior of the pH 5.2 extract, because our ultimate goal is to look at which of these voltage-gated ion channels are impacted in the presence of the plant extract. So we use CV, and we decided to use pH 4.2, pH 5.2, pH 6.4, 7.4, and all the pHs that we eluted the sample with. You can see the untreated cells have the highest membrane potential. And as we treat the cells with the various extract, you can see the membrane potential decreasing. And in fact, you see that with the media alone, where there are no cells, the membrane potential is actually much lower. And when you look at the plot of membrane potential versus the samples that were eluted at each pH, you can see that the membrane potential decreases as a function of the extract that were coming from the pH-dependent elution. We also did a graph of the current, but we weren't really seeing some pattern when it comes to the current flow. But we can see clearly a pattern with the voltage. which is telling us that something interesting is going on in terms of what the plant metabolites are doing with the voltage-gated ion channels. And we are planning on probe further to look at this downstream signaling effects to be able to hone down into the specific voltage ion-gated channels that are impacted by the presence of the extract. But we were trying to correlate this with cell death, and we went ahead and did some more studies to look at how the cells were being affected in the presence of these materials. So we did what we call fluorescent activated cell sorting analysis. And if you look at the untreated cells, the third quadrant is the normal cells. They are populated here. And then Q1 are cell debris. And then Q4 is apoptotic cells, cells that are not dead, but they are overwhelmed in the presence of the extract or whatever drug that you are using. And then Q2, which is the second hydrant, actually tell you the population of cells that are dying. So when we use our extract from the pH 5.2, we found out that the normal cells spread into the apoptotic region as well as the cell death region. That means part of the cells were dying, but majority of the cells were overwhelmed in the presence of the extract. So, which is telling us that indeed it seems like we are targeting some of these voltage-gated channels. If you remember the table that I showed earlier on, when you target some of these voltage-gated channels, you are overwhelming the cells and they go into the apoptotic stage. So we are hoping that if this hypothesis is true, we should be able to start looking at which particular gated channels are being impacted. So we compare our extract data with curcumin, which is a drug that is actually used for cancer studies. And if you see with the curcumin treated, the cells, the normal cells, did not go through the apoptotic region. They went all the way to cell death, which is telling us that the curcumin mechanism of cell death is different from that from the our extract from the dicolar reflexor. So this is very good news for us, and we are working very hard on it to see whether we can look at the downstream effects to be able to get answers to these questions. So let me quickly switch gears and tell you about another work that we've been doing within my group. And it's about TB. Tuberculosis is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and it continues to be a global burden. Okay. In fact, the treatment of infections caused by tuberculosis, it is gradually becoming complicated due to the ability of these bacteria to withstand the deadly effects of the drugs. So we use two strains to try to investigate existing tuberculosis drugs in the presence of clay minerals. As I said, we are using locally cheap material to try to see whether we can revive the effects of these established drugs in the presence of clay materials. Why are we using these minerals for this? Is because we believe clay materials have trace minerals, a trace ions in them, and that could probably cause synergy in the ability of these drugs to revive their efficacy. So we use Mycobacterium smegmatis MC2155, and we use estromycin-resistant Mycobacterium smegmatis. And we tested 19 drugs, antibacterial drugs. This is the table. We were trying to estimate the zone of inhibition in the presence of low concentrations of the clay material as well as high concentrations of the clay material. Okay, so we use chlorophenicol, erythromycin, and then some of these drugs were responding positively to the presence of the clay, and some were responding negatively to the presence of the clay. There are some like cycloserine and then cyclomarine, which did not show any evidence of activity, even with the presence of the clay materials. And these are just some data that shows how most of the drugs were affected positively and some not affected at all. And then we switch to the erythromycin-resistant Mycobacterium smegmatis, which is a more resistant strain. And of course, we could see that some of the clay materials do not even have influence on the antibacterial drugs, like cycloserine, metronidazole, and you can see cyclomarine again, there is no effect. But there was interesting information that we got from this. For instance, if you look at the enhancement of the tuberculosis bacterial growth, we saw that pyrazinamide, sorry, I left some data here, but we saw some that were enhancing the growth of the bacteria. Moxifloxacin, for instance, 24, the zone of inhibition was 24.5. When we added 1 microgram of the clay, the zone of inhibition increased from 24 to 29, and 5 micrograms zone of inhibition stayed much bigger than the control. The same with metronidazole, where we have 15 zone of inhibition in the presence of 1 microgram of the clay material, the zone of inhibition increased to 24, and the same with 5. Okay, and then Promomycin is the same trend. And then when you come to the erythromycin resistant, again, you can see ampicillin 0, we don't see any zone of inhibition. However, when you add 1 microgram of the clay, the zone of inhibition dramatically increased to 10, and then 5 to 15. So you can see that some of these antibacterial drugs have been influenced by the presence of the clay mineral. And the next thing we'll be looking at is how is these clay minerals, what is their mechanism of reviving the antibacterial effects of these drugs. Okay, and then very interestingly, The inhibition of the TB bacteria was also realized. Rifampicin was used. We saw the zone of inhibition was about 31. When we added certain amounts, the lower and higher concentration of the drug, we see some little bit of decrease in zone of inhibition. But the most interesting one to note is tetracycline, which was 35. And then when we added just 1 microgram, we were able to reduce it to 27, 5 microgram to 26. The same with erythromycin and gentamicin. The whole showed decrease in the zone of inhibition, telling us that the clay mineral was able to revive the activity of these antimicrobial, antibacterial drugs. And then the more difficult TB strain, which is erythromycin resistant strain, we could also see that amoxicillin, which in the presence of or no clay, you have zone of infinity 12.0, and in the presence of 1 or 5, you didn't see any difference at all. And then you go to moxifloxacin and then the 5-fluorouracil, you can see that they are also showing slight decrease in the zone of inhibition. So we are suggesting that we'll continue to look at the effects of the various clays and see how we can learn from a combination of these with the clay, and then try to look at the downstream effects and see what is causing some of these inhibitory or enhancement effects to be able to come up with some mechanism of inhibition or activation. So, in concluding, I would like to say that biomimetic IDDS can be developed from clay minerals and biopolymers for drug delivery purposes. And I think it's very important to capitalize on these materials because they are cheap, they are easy to come by, so we can develop cheap and affordable materials for drug discovery purposes. We can also focus our attention on formulation of TB drugs with clay minerals, because there are a lot of TB drugs that are resistant to the clay minerals, that are resistant to the existing drugs. TB strain, very resistant to the TB drugs. So should we go back to the drawing board and be synthesizing more drugs, or should we capitalize on making these existing drugs better by using other methods? And I believe that using clay minerals, which are very unique in their architecture, can actually help us to improve the efficacy of these drugs. But the most important thing is to try to come up with standardization of IDDS for the pharmaceutical industry. And this is something that researchers will need to work in collaboration with the pharmaceutical industry to be able to standardize the methods, be able to standardize the formulations, where we can then start applying this for the benefit of the larger population. So with this, I would like to thank the organizers. But before that, this work was not done by myself alone. In fact, I sit down to make the analysis. Most of the work has been done by a lot of people cutting across the world. We have people from the United States who are part of this work. We have people in Ghana. We have people from University of British Columbia who are also part of this work. In fact, we have people from the Department of Archaeology. I know this sounds funny, but it's the truth. We have Professor Kankwanyen from archaeology, and they are the people who go to the field to bring out the clay minerals, and they tell us based on the perspective of how they got the clay mineral, then we pursue the research based on what they tell us. So I thank the organizers once more for inviting me, and I really appreciate Dr. Dave Parrish for giving me the opportunity to present. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Professor Elvis, for wonderful presentation, and very glad and very happy, to know about your research work, that how you are using, clay minerals for intelligent drug discovery system, IDDS. So this is always good, and whenever I heard something from you, you are always, inspiring, and you are always giving, the talk and the science, very innovative and very latest thing you are talking about. So I'm sure that our participants also will be benefited from your talk, and they will also get to know about your research, and they will also get to know about the drug discovery, how the clay minerals can be utilized. So thank you once again for joining with us and giving a wonderful talk, and look forward to have association for future also. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, Professor Elvis, you can mute your. Yeah, thank you. So, Farmer Nest is the event, we are organizing the e-competition and the offline competitions, and giving opportunity for the students and researcher to explore, and to improve their tech skills, like writing skills, presentation skills, videography skills, etc. So you can go to the website of Pharmanest, and you will get the more information. And I will also encourage them that whoever has not yet registered, they can please go ahead and register and take benefits and involve in this and participate for all this competition. Not only these, we are also organizing till the May 3rd all the webinars, so you can join in all webinars, and you can learn on the various aspects of the pharmaceutical as well as the intellectual property rights. So with this, I would like to introduce our today's second speaker, Mr. Aatish Arora. So Aatish Arora is a founder of the Aatish Management Consultant Company, and he has previously worked with ICFA University and Global Institute of Intellectual Property. So currently he is the founder and managing director of Aatish Management Consultants Company. So in this company, they are helping for lateral hiring of IP professionals, and they are also helping for resume building and resume writing also. They are also working with the wonderful clients from the legal backgrounds as well as the corporate clients. So with these small words, I would like to introduce Aatish Arora. Please share your thoughts, Aatish.
Thank you, Dr. Dave. Good evening, everybody, and it's an honor and pleasure to be a part of this event. A big thanks to Mr. Vikram Chaudhary, again Dr. Paresh Dave for giving me this opportunity, and other legal luminaries present here. It was really very impressive by Professor Elvis, the way he presented his uh, uh, doctorate work. I'm really surprised to see like how this the clay mineral can help in fighting the cancer, like which is of course he said the world's first like the disease by which 80% of the population gets affected. So today I'll be presenting with the career choices we can explore in the field of intellectual property rights and patents, to be very specific. So this field is open for engineers, lawyers, and normal graduates. When I talk to an engineer, they ask me what kind of opportunity they can have in the field of IPR or maybe in a law firm. Law firm is for a lawyer. What I would be doing in a law firm, I don't see any kind of scope for an engineer working in a law firm. I should be working in my core area or maybe in a manufacturing facility or with the in my own domain, not in a law firm. So my answer to them is, to engineers is you'll be working with the innovation, technology, latest developments, improvement and betterment for the society, which only an engineer can do. So I'll just explain in my talk how an engineer or say a biotech or a pharma candidate can explore opportunities in the field of IPR and how they can build up their career. It's there is an exponential growth in terms of knowledge, in terms of money, everything they can think of, they can get in the field of IPR. IPR is an exponentially growing field. We are witnessing a paradigm shift from corporations and companies hunting down tangible properties towards intellectual property assets. India is becoming a hub of startups, research and development centers, which are nothing but intellectual creations. Intellectual property law is all about protecting and exercising benefits from your intellectual creations. People protect what they create. It's a basic human tendency for which they need another set of people. Now, that might be you aspiring to build a career in IP, because like in case you search for what kind of job you can secure in IP, so I'll be talking about that as well. Why is intellectual property law interesting? So it refers to the creation of the mind, such as inventions, literary and artistic work, design and symbols, names and images used in commercials. Intellectual property law enables individuals to claim exclusive right and financial gain from what they invent or create, which is a benefit to both creator and to the public. With its foundation in human ingenuity, it should be no surprise that for the IP professional, work days cannot be categorized as dull or boring. Very simple, because they'll be working on the innovation, new technologies, new ideas. To state that another way, IP is an unendingly interesting, especially when genius mixes with mortal unpredictability. So for an engineer or even for a lawyer, what they would be doing in intellectual property or patents is they'll be working as a patent drafter. A lawyer can be into litigation. Even an engineer with a law degree can be into litigation. They'll be doing filing and prosecution work. It's a desk job when we talk about filing and prosecution. So they'll be coordinating between the client, their own office, and to the patent office worldwide, or the jurisdiction in which they are filing the patent. They can also be into teaching, training, and spreading awareness about intellectual property rights and patents. So this is another area which can be explored in terms of career opportunity. There are institutes, there are universities which have specific IP chair, they have specific IP programs for candidates, so for law graduates and engineers, this could be one of the areas which can be explored. Academics, they can also be into analytics and strategy. Another area which can be explored in IPR is technology assessment and marketing. So IP valuation and marketing of IP services is one of the key areas where a person can build his career. The list is not very exhaustive. The idea is to make clear that a single individual takes more than one of these roles in the Indian paradigm because role specialization is rare, unlike the Western countries. These roles might narrow down if you end up in an IPR specializing firm, which where only specific roles are provided. So as I said, a law firm, when an engineer asks me why what we would be doing in a law firm, so they'll be either doing a patent drafting work or maybe patent prosecution filing work or becoming a patent lawyer. So they'll be fighting cases on behalf of their clients in IP, appellate board or high courts, depending on the nature of the case. So you can have a very clear and dynamic field to expertise in. Understanding the law and its implications should be your primary objective, no matter what role you fit into or what role you wish to consider yourself for. In addition, good communication skill is necessary as IPR is widely interdisciplinary. So you'll be working with clients from US, Europe, and they'll not understand your own local language. You have to be very, very good in terms of your communication skills. Even in your for drafting, you have to be very, very sure. You have to be very, very specific that whatever you are writing is understandable. Whatever patent you are drafting is very much understandable by a layman. There is marketing involved, dealing with different communities in understanding the inventions. Different roles require different strengths. For example, a little knowledge in science and technology is required when dealing with patents, owing to the fact that IPR is multidisciplinary and a bit studying technology is involved for patents, which subsequently is an important part of the IPR. Students go technology phobic. A bit of research on this angle of technology tells us that there are lawyers who thrive upon flourishing practices even without having a formal technical degree. So I have come across a lot many lawyers who are doing much great things in their own in IPR, though they don't have technical degrees. Just because of their expertise, just because of their experiences, they are doing really great in IPR. So fields under IPR, it has been broadly classified as trademarks, patents, copyright and related rights, industrial designs, geographical indications, layout design of integrated circuits, plant varieties, IT, and data protection. These are the areas where a person, a lawyer, a normal graduate, or even an engineer, of course, can build up his career. So how to build a career in IPR, or maybe how to choose a specialization in IPR. There are three prominent categories for engineers and law students. Those who have good, of course, law firms, companies, corporates, IP consultancy firms, KPOs, they ask for candidates who have good scores in their graduation, post-graduation, PhD, those who are good throughout their career, even in their 10th and 12th, those who are good in terms of their technical knowledge, those who have good knowledge, good command over communication skills, both reading and writing. Those candidates are valued over other candidates. They are given preference over other candidates. So there are a lot many career options available. There are institutes available from where you can do your formal education in terms of IPR if you are willing to. Patent related career options, patent analyst. So patent analyst, it's a terminology where a person would be working on patent search and analytics, working on the analysis of inventions, patents, and its intricacies of technology. patent valuers, experts who decide the market value of a patent. So when we see the logo of Coca-Cola or KFC or McDonald's, big brands, the company is getting evaluated. The intellectual property of the company is getting evaluated. So how do they do that? There are specific people, there are specific teams who are engaged in that process, uh, who value the say logo of the company, or maybe the brand name, the tagline. So everything is being valued. Like there are licensing specialists also responsible for licensing of patents, both inbound and outbound. There are KPOs, lot many KPOs have established in India, and there are IP consultancy firms as well who are dealing directly with US, Europe, and Southeast Asian countries. They get Indian engineers and law firms and IP consultancy firms. They get lots and lots of work from outside India. The job is to prepare, file, prosecute, and maintain patents, bringing down the cost. Because uh, patent drafting is another field where a person can explore opportunities. They draft patent specifications, patent claims, for an application. So, with this, I would like to conclude that those who wish to get into IPR can connect with us. We will definitely help them in getting a job in IPR, be it an engineer, a pharma candidate, a biotech candidate, or a normal graduate who's looking for a switch in the career, a marketing professional who's looking for a switch in the career. They can get into IPR, they can get in touch with us, and we'll definitely uh, make sure that we help them in securing a good job. That's all from my side. I would like to conclude.
Thank you, Aatish, for sharing wonderful information. And I would like here to add there that Aatish Management Consultant OPC company is also placement partner for this our Pharmanest event. So definitely you can get in touch with Aatish and Aatish team if you have any query or if you have any questions related to the career building in the IPR or in the pharmaceutical domain. So thank you, Aatish, for one wonderful information sharing.
Pleasure, sir.
So with this, I would like to share start our third presentation of today's. And today we are having with us Mr. Nabendu Bhattacharjee from Bangladesh, who is a Bangladesh Supreme Court intellectual property attorney. So, who is taking care of the various aspects of the intellectual property right protections in the Bangladesh? He is also working with many international clients for protecting their trademarks and other intellectual properties in the Bangladesh, as well as he is also helping his clients for protecting their trademarks outside the Bangladesh also. And mainly his expertise is anti-counterfeiting measures, passing off, and to taking care of trademark infringement. As he is also working in the Supreme Court, you can understand that how beneficial will be to heard from him that what is the intellectual property rights and particularly trademarks importance for the small and medium scale enterprises. With this short introduction, I would like to introduce our friend Mr. Nabendu Bhattacharjee.
Thanks, Mr. Paresh Kumar Dave, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, I will share my slide and I will if the slide is shared, sir, is the slide is shared to all?
It will come. Just hold on. Valika?
Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, you can share now.
yeah.
No, sir,
Share.
the screen is not visible.
It's visible to one all.
Yeah, it's coming. Oh, hold
Yeah,
on.
yes, sir.
Yeah,
It is visible now, sir. It is visible.
you can move to the presentation mode. So.
Yeah, is now is it visible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
yes.
visible, sir.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you. So I think I let start on my today's speech. Good day. Happy Intellectual Property Day. First of all, before deliver my today's lecture, I pray my highest respect to those who passed away us due to the COVID-19. I pray the Almighty to bestow His blessings on the departed soul. I also pray my Almighty God for keeping us safe from the unwanted COVID-19 virus. All the world we know the increasing trend of COVID-19 is India is alarming as we are the border country of India. We are also in the position of alarming position. Thanks Permanest 21 for organize such a splendid of program to celebrate World IP Day. Actually, I thanks the moderator Sri Bhalika and
Excuse me, Nabendu.
yeah,
Can you put your slides on presentation mode?
yeah. I still I did not start my slide, but when I start, it will it's visible
You,
like that.
you 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 can put on presentation mode.
Is it presentation mode to all?
No, no. It's not showing in presentation mode. It's showing in normal mode.
It's
Can you share your screen again? I think you have
no.
say.
I is it show now?
Your screen is still not visible.
Uh, is it show by all?
Can you click on share screen and share your entire screen?
Yeah, yeah. I already click. Is it
Yeah, your screen is come and go. Can you share it again?
is it visible?
No.
So I click the share button,
Yeah,
appeared in the screen, but
yeah. Share screen, and after that you click on the entire
I
screen.
don't know why
Now,
it is not visible.
now, now now I got your screen. Can you
Now
move?
you got?
Yeah. Can you move forward to next slide?
Yeah, now
Yeah,
now
now it's
now
fine.
yeah,
Yeah,
now it is
yeah.
visible.
Now you can
Yeah,
open your presentation.
now okay.
Yeah, now
Now it is visible to all.
yeah, now it is visible. Now you can continue.
Now is it visible? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hmm. So already I started, and I pay my highest respect to all who we already passed away, those who already due to the COVID-19. And now I thanks Permanence 21 for arranging such a splendid of program to celebrate World IP Day. Actually, I was listening with fascination. Just my earlier two speakers, one was Professor Elvis Tiburu, and another was our Aatish Arora. La- I also thanks to Bikram Choudhury, Director of OPE, since last April 2020, when the pandemic situation, he organized lots of programs for IP awareness, and I was present there. I really grateful to him as because last year I also present as a speaker one of his program. Last but specially thanks Mr. Paresh Kumar, Director of and CEO of IP Moment, a prominent patent attorney in India. He always encouraged me to join such kind of program. I personally met with him in lastly in 2018 in Delhi, and I found he actually is a great man with a great heart. I know he doing his job following the Atmanirbharshil Bharat. Now I start my slide. The first slide I think the first slide is visible to all. Mr. Bikram, hello.
No, sir, your slide is not visible. You should share the presentation, I think so. You should share the presentation.
Now it is visible.
Yes,
Can I start?
your screen is, yes, sir, you can start, sir. Your screen is visible, sir, but your presentation is not visible.
Oh, my screen is visible, but no
Yes,
presentation
sir.
not visible.
You just share your presentations.
What is the problem? I don't know actually.
Sir, when you go for the presentation, then your present screen is not visible to you. Only your presentation is visible to you, and your entire screen is visible to us.
But now I am not visible myself, but I am see all my
Yeah, yeah.
slides at all.
You are not visible yourself. You are not visible yourself while presentation.
Yeah,
You
but
you can view only your slides.
yeah. So I think it will be possible. Please let me 1 minute.
Sure. Can you click on share screen and you have to share entire screen?
Yeah, I share, but I entire screen. Yeah, entire screen share. Now it is visible to all.
Yeah,
Now it is visible to
yeah,
all.
yeah. It is visible. You can continue with your presentation.
Okay, okay. Thank you. I am very sorry for that, for the such kind of technical difficulties. Okay, thanks. Uh, Actually, today is the World IP Day. World. My speech is for the introducing trademark for the SMEs. World IP Day on the 26th April in the year of 1970, WIPO Convention come into force. Then the year of 2000, the member state of WIPO designated this day as the World Intellectual Property Day with the aim of increasing the general understanding of IP. Since it is the 21st years running for we are celebrating the World Intellectual Property Days. Every year, there is a theme for celebrating this day. According this day, this year the theme is IP and SMEs. Introducing the trademark for SMEs, my second slide. In the primary stage, many small and medium enterprises do not get clear conception regarding intellectual property. That is one of their most valuable asset. The small entrepreneurs must have to introduce their brand to the mass people from primary stage, and for this trademark is required for the small and business enterprise. So when any small and business entrepreneur started their business in a very little scope, they did not know the interest and they did not know the required of the trademark. So all of we would to know, and we would like to know that what is the valuable and what is the valuable intangible assets is the trademark for their business. Small business in Bangladesh. Small and medium-sized enterprise are the backbone of national economy in Bangladesh. Not only Bangladesh, I know in every country, small and business enterprise is the backbone for all countries' economy. The sector is playing very important role to the develop on the economic of our country, simultaneously all the countries. The role of SME sector is immense to elevate the poverty from country as well. Small and business enterprise are particularly suitable for the populated countries. Actually, the countries what are very populated countries like Bangladesh.
Excuse me, doctor. Excuse me, Naveduji. Excuse me,
Yeah,
Naveduji. Your slides,
yeah.
your slides are still not visible. Can you open your slides,
Yes, I open my slide and I am visible. It is visible to mine.
sir? You are not visible. Like you have to play your slides. You have to share your entire screen. Your slides is not visible to audience.
It's not visible to audience.
Yeah. Can you share the entire screen?
What's the problem actually?
Can you open the slides now? Because you have shared only Google Chrome. That's why it's not visible. You have shared only selected screen. You have to share your entire
Slide is
screen.
open.
You like when you go for the screen share screen, you will find three options: entire screen, window, and
Is
Chrome tab.
Hello, Nabendu.
So I think Mr. Vikram, I think I will start automatically. It is not maybe possible to all viewers to view my slides.
So Nabenduji, you can start,
Yeah,
sharing your experience with
yeah,
SMEs,
yeah,
by
yeah, yeah,
giving,
yeah.
examples in your daily uh, expertise, that how your clients are using, intellectual property and particularly trademarks.
So I think I have in the primary stage, many small and medium enterprise do not get clear conception regarding the intellectual property that it is their most valuable asset. The small enterprise must have to introduce their brand to the mass people from the primary stage, and for this, trademark is required for small and medium enterprise. Uh, in the perspective of Bangladesh, SME, small and business enterprise, refers the business which is not to the public limited company and complies following the criteria actually. Uh, the small enterprise are there is a categories. The sector one is the service sector, another is business sector, and lastly industrial sector. The fixed asset other than the land and building the taka, who is the anyone has the taka of 50,000 to 5 lakhs and the employee number is 25, then it is come to the boundary of small business enterprise for the service. And for the business, if someone has 50,000 to 5 lakh and member is 25, that it is come in the business sector for the small enterprise. And lastly, the industrial sector, when their fixed amount is 50 lakh to 1 crore and 50 lakh and the employees number is 50, then there come in the boundary of small and business enterprise in the area of industries in perspective of Bangladesh. So what size of business and SMEs? SME are usually SME are usually categorized by the number of worker employed and sales turnover and the capital employed. In another word, the number of the employees and asset are valuable classified of the SMEs. Different countries have different criteria for classifications. For instance, in Canada, business with less than 500 employees are categorized as an SME. In Germany, the upper threshold in 250 employees. In New Zealand, it is 19 employees. And United Kingdom, it's depend upon as per their Companies Act to be the categories and as SME. So in the member who will how much member may creates a business for the SMEs, it will deliver my speech earlier that in Canada it is the 500 employees. So why the trademark law? The primary purpose of trademark law is to prevent the unfair competition by applying a test of consumer confusion and providing the right and remedies to the owner of the trademarks. The growing importance of trademark. In the present digital area, main property of the business is advancing from physical to intellectual international. In the basic element of the present business is very valuable property. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
you are
yes,
audible, sir.
Am I edible? Yeah,
yes, yes.
but
Continue,
maybe
continue.
yeah. Another thing, I am sorry for interrupt. If it is not clear by all, if you allow me, then I will open my slide in the mobile, and I open the slide in my laptop, and I am visible in my mobile. Is it possible? No,
Dada, you
it's
can
okay.
continue like this. It's because it will
Okay,
take
okay,
more time for.
okay. So why the small businessmen do not want to do trademark registration in primary stage? Why any businessmen who are following in the group in SME, small and business entrepreneur, they actually primarily they did not want to restart their mark. It's because why? Insufficiency of knowledge regarding the intellectual property law. Two, wants of awareness regarding the intellectual property law. Number three, they do not want to do the complex work like registration of trademark. Number four, in the primary stage of their business, they do not want to spend money in other sector. And number five, lack of their socialization. In the trademark registration, is the trademark registration necessary for small business? Yes, obviously. Usually, if a business is spread over a small area, in that case, registration of the trademark may not be required. But whenever that the business extend, then registration of trademark is obviously required to protect own business goodwill from the competitor. But during this time, some other person may do not registration of the trademark in the name of their business or brand. So the registration trademark is must in the primary stage. It's because if someone that think not necessary to restart my mark is the primary stage, we think in the future their business will be a great business, a big business. So what will be the result if their business is a very appreciable by customers? Then if their competitor may restart their name, so they did not get their name. So trademark registration is very necessary for the small and medium entrepreneurs. Advantage, what is the advantage of the SMEs? SMEs have the remarkable ability to fuel the economic growth. They create many new job opportunities. Point one. Point two is SME also increase the competition amongst the person upon the market scenario. New entrepreneur being forth ideas and skills. SME Act is cushion against the recession by adapting and innovating as per the changing of circumstances. Number four, SMEs keep developing and creating more jobs. Number five, SME adapt fast and dynamic business world by switching to e-commerce and online. Number six, what is the advantage? Number six, SME plays a vital role being the service providers and the traders in the primary industries. So there is the reciprocal relationship between the SMEs and the economy. Uh, is it is sufficient to register the business name of your company, of any company? Yes. Many people believe that after registering their business name, trade name, in the registry office, this name will be protected automatically as a trademark. But it is wrong idea. It is very urgent to know the difference between the business name and trademark. Difference between the registered and unregistered. I think I skip this. So difference between the during the present pandemic period, in case of online business, there is a more possibility of pawn of infringement of brand name and slogan or business, etc. And for these reasons, it is very much necessary for all to restart their name. IP and SMEs. is that our in this year the theme of the World Intellectual Property Day is the IP and SMEs. During the present time, small and medium-sized entrepreneurs are contribute to the source of revenue of any countries to much extent, and intellectual property can accelerate this progress more. Only want of some knowledge of proper source may thwart the progress. So many countries of the world have bought a wide chance in their trademark registration policy for providing the proper IP support. Considering the business aspect of small entrepreneur, we the Bangladesh Trademark Registry has also been providing proper IP support from the Trademark Registry of Bangladesh has taken the emergent step for giving the registration of SMEs. Uh, in this situation, I would like to present one of my experience in a court case. Actually, in every day, like Bangladesh, every court or every trademark tribunals would like to support a SMEs for their business. One of my case, maybe it was the one bag company's case on official bags. I was the lawyers of the plaintiff side, the who's the applied firstly. Then in that time of hearing, I delivered my law point to the trademark registered, the examiner, that these bags are fall in the SMEs categories. So it obviously may grant as a trademark registered trademark as because the every country like Bangladesh is support to the SMEs, and in Bangladesh this bag companies employees is under below 50 members, and their capital of business in within the 50 lakh to 1 crore, and by placing such kind of information to the register examiner of the trademark registry, I win this case. And like every countries, trademark SMEs is very play the very important role for the business. And in the pandemic situations, lots of big companies shorten their uh, yeah, ongoing COVID pandemic and emergence of the small business entrepreneur. In the worldwide going pandemic of ongoing COVID-19, we are noticing that many renowned companies are shortening their business to some extent or discharging their workers. In this situation, the said discharged worker have to start a small business as entrepreneur for maintaining their standard of living. At the beginning of their business, these entrepreneurs have the inaugurated a business name or slogan or logo of their own. In this situation, if their trademark is registered, it will be easy to set up their business. And ongoing COVID-19 pandemic round the globes, in every renowned companies, we already read the news by the papers, all the TV news, that every renowned company shortening their business. So how the worker alive, they are going to their own business, and it is called the SMEs. So by affording such government and by affording the government's rule and by affording the government support, obviously one SMEs can get play a important role for their country's economic. So I think in the concluding remark, finally this can be said that without the registration of trademarks, investment of the owner of goods may go in the vain in case of marketing their goods, because of a competing organization using the same or exact trademark may create confusion among consumer, which will damage the reputation, image and business and financial reputation of the particular company. So it is the important, very important for registered trademark, which can easily realize for the discussion. It is may be said that the registering trademark is the main factor of any successful business and startup future business plan. So at the end of my lecture, I would like to explain that if every country's government and each every country's law enforcing agencies, if support their SMEs who are now already out and shortening from their companies regarding the pandemic situation, and if the every country support the short and medium entrepreneur, they obviously one upon a time, maybe it not possible by 1 year, 2 year, but after 5 or 6 year, obviously they play vital role for the revenue of the said countries, and it is increasing the most people population growth is increasing in every country, in our countries also. So it is not possible for every office to appoint someone, 1, 2 or 3 persons. Already they are appointed lots of their job holders. So maybe one already completed his graduations. So what he or she do? He or she may inaugurate his SMEs, and the government must should support to play his business, and once upon a time obviously it will gain for that country. Thank you, all of the audience. Actually I'm very sorry for that, as because there for that technical difficulties, I did not it did not play my slides. And thanks all of you.
So thank you, Nabendu ji, for a wonderful, talk. We know that some in this online era, we are all are facing some technical difficulties. However, even after these technical difficulties, you explained very well that how the intellectual property is most important for the SMEs.
Yeah,
SMEs are like, small fish in the pond. So if small fish are not protected by intellectual property, then big fishes can eat them. So for their protection, for SMEs, it's must to protect their intellectual property, and by protecting their IP, they can grow further. So thank you once again for joining and delivering an expert talks. As always, we are happy to have you, and we are also always, whenever we have on board with you, we are learning something new from you. So thank you, Nabendu ji.
no, no,
Over to
I am very grateful to all of you, especially Mr. My friend Mr. Poresh sir and Sri Bhalika, is because you are actually Aatish sir also is there. You are specially thanks, as because I did not support you as you and your audience wants, as because there is a technical difficulties. I did not play my slides, but you are there for support me. Thanks.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah. So over to Valika.
Yes, it was indeed it is a great listening to you, all the speakers. And on the behalf of Operant Pharmacy Federation, I once again thank all the speakers for spending your valuable time with us and sharing your thoughts regarding intellectual property rights and green sustainable drug delivery systems. And I'm sharing the feedback link to all the participants. Participants can access the feedback link here. And the participants are having any queries, so they can post them in their chat box so that speakers can answer their queries.
So all the participants, whoever has not yet registered, please go ahead and register for the Pharma Nest, and you can get a chance to win, 10.5 lakhs prizes worth of amount, as well as you can also get chance. The grand winner will get chance to win, international exchange program ticket also.
Yes, yes, sir. Paresh sir, you want to conclude?
Yeah. So
You want
once
to convey
again,
any concluding remarks?
yeah. So just I would like to thank Professor Elvis, uh, Aatish, and Nabendu Bhattacharjee for joining with us and for supporting us this Pharma Nest event also, and all the participants whoever has registered, and all the viewers who joined with us from YouTube and LinkedIn Live. Thank you. And thank you, Valika, for moderating this session.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you
Thank
all
you.
of
I
you.
once again thank all the speakers from the behalf of OPF.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all of you. Thank you all of you.
Thank you, sir. Good day, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night.